You look marvelous, darling, marvelous.
Get that stuff out of here. It's Southwest Bias.
Welcome into Southwest Bias, live from Studio K. It is a Monday, and we are talking Marvin Harrison Jr., and I think this guy is ready for that year two jump. Now, I do think that we undervalued his rookie season. I think there were such high expectations that were fairly unrealistic when it came to it. But honestly, I think we undervalued it because when you look at him compared to the gold standard in Arizona Cardinals history when it comes to wide receivers and his rookie year in Larry Fitzgerald, the two of them had very similar numbers. Larry Fitzgerald, 58 receptions. Marvin Harrison Jr., 62 receptions. Fitz had 780 yards. Marvin Harrison Jr. had 885 yards. They both had 8 touchdowns, right? And I feel like we just totally kind of wrote off what Marvin Harrison Jr. was able to do in an offense that wasn't predicated on passing and that really didn't use the deep ball to its advantage hardly at all. I think we very undervalued it. And when you look at that leap that Larry Fitzgerald made in year two, 103 receptions, 1,409 yards, and 10 touchdowns. I think we're going to see something very similar to that for Marvin Harrison Jr. I really do. And I actually think it'll probably be more than those 10 touchdowns that Larry got. I actually think it'll be higher than that. Because Marvin Harrison Jr. didn't lose all that talent that everybody thought made him a number one wide receiver. And it's no secret that guys from year one to year two, usually highly talented guys, make that leap. But why do I think he'll make that leap? Well, one, and it's been talked about, but you can't not bring it up when you're talking about how good he's going to be in year two, is his physique and the change in that from year one to year two in the offseason. I mean, it's insane. It's like if you went to create a player in Madden and went, you know what, let's just slide that muscle slider, that strength slider all the way up, right? Let's just move that thing to 100, where he was at like 65 last year. And I think this is huge in getting separation. I think this is huge in yards after catch that he'll be able to do. I mean, even looking at the photos of him from training camp and just looking at him catching balls, you can just tell how different that physique is. And I think that's going to be a huge part of why he's going to have success in year two. I mean, it is undeniable how much that his body took that leap from year one to year two. And his teammates have taken notice of his physicality out there on the field. And Paris Johnson Jr. and Kyler Murray both talked about it.
Funny, but I don't know what they're built like. They haven't been that up close. When they seen that, you know, it's kind of the joke when he comes in the huddle, we start to yell, 12 personnel. And then he's like, he's about to run out. And I'm like, no, we're kidding, it's 11. But like, it's just our joke that we do. We're not going to try that in a game day. That might mess up the timing. But, you know, I mean, he's a beast, and he's all about his business. So, I mean, it's not surprising to see that at all. That's just the way he shows up.
So I don't, you know, it doesn't surprise me. I thought it was AI. The pictures were fake. No, Marv's been in there every single day since the season ended. So I don't, you know, it doesn't surprise me. And he loves the game. So yeah, the issue might be getting too damn big, you know. So
he thought it was AI. By the way, Paris Johnson Jr. is a gift. I just, anytime he has a press conference, you want to hear it. But you can hear how excited both Marvin Harrison Jr. And Paris Johnson Jr. are for what Marv's going to do this year. Like they are pumped, and those are guys that see it from the inside, right? It's not talking heads like myself or Johnny Venerable who will join us. We can sit here and look at it, see the photos, and see some practice and go, oh my gosh. But when guys in that locker room are saying that to the media, you know it's the real deal. You know Marvin Harrison Jr. has been in there and has put in the effort, right? And what's been on display and training camp is that vertical speed. It's catching attention. It's showing that separation. And granted, it's not in pads, and it's against the Cardinals defense, but it is showing promise. You look at it and you go, this is what we didn't see in the offense last year. He's able to get that breakneck speed going. The reason he was called the freaking Maserati Marv, right? And you're seeing it. And this is all going to be predicated on Petzing's offense allowing it to happen, on Petzing's offense being more open this year and passing it to Marv in the way that they need to. But, man, he's showing it already in training camp, that ability. I can't wait to see it. Now, we're probably not going to see it in preseason because the Cardinals don't tend to play their starters more than a series or two. Maybe you'll see a catch or two, but week 1 in New Orleans, I think he's going to feast because you put him and Trey McBride with that running game, Michael Wilson. I think there's going to be so many opportunities for this guy to make plays and make big plays. But the thing that I love the most about Marvin Harrison Jr. is he does not give a damn what any of us expect of him or what the media expects of this team. He just wants to go out there and prove it.
Exactly. The expectation, it don't matter at all. It's like our goals aren't going to change based off someone else's expectations kind of thing, Like I said, our goal is to win the game, win every game that we can. And whether that's someone expects us to win a certain amount of games is not going to change, what our goals are. So expectations don't matter to us at all.
And I love that attitude because it's in-house. Sure, maybe the national media doesn't see it, but I think they have expectations of themselves that are pretty high. I think Jonathan Gannon has expectations of them that are pretty high. I think they're worried about living up to those and not what any of the rest of us have to say. And that's the mindset that you need. They need to be in a foxhole together and ready to do whatever it takes to meet what they think they should be able to do. But it's not all sunshines and rainbows out there at training camp. The defensive side of the ball has taken a huge hit due to injuries. Walter Nolan Jr. and his calf, Starling Thomas and that knee injury that's going to keep him out the entire year. BJ Ojulari and that knee, he hasn't been out there yet. These things are concerning. And if that defense isn't vastly improved, especially that front seven, it's going to make it very hard for that offense to make up the difference, even with Marvin Harrison Jr. hitting on all cylinders. But if there was ever a year that I'm betting on Kyler Murray and his top wide receiver and Marvin Harrison Jr., it's this one. Because Marv's ready to make that leap. Kyler's fully healthy, and they don't give a damn about your expectations or mine. But maybe that's just my Southwest bias. We welcome in the mustache behind the Mac, Shane Diefenbach. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. By the way, hi to J Booms, S Shola 92, Top G 6309, Michael Evans, and Arizona Texan. What's up, everybody in the chat? My bias. Hit that like button. I want to get to 50 today on the program before we get out of here. And as I mentioned, Johnny Venerable, the loudest man in Cardinals media, will be joining us here shortly. But Shane, do you think Marv's ready? Do you think Maserati Marv makes his first appearance here in Arizona?
I mean, we saw Maserati Marv. We saw him.
I don't think we saw the speed and the vertical game as much.
Yeah, but we saw him have a couple massive games.
Yes,
and that's that's how you know. SS Hollow brings it up, and this is a good point. He says, funny how no one was calling JSN a bust when he only had 600 yards and 4 touchdowns as a rookie, but now he's unbelievable. SMH, it's a very good point. And while different circumstances in Seattle, with 2 receivers ahead of him on the depth chart, it's, he still had the same amount of production as Marv with not even close to the same expectations. And that's where everything matters, is the expectations. Marv was expected to immediately come in and dominate and be a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL, which was very unfair. And he didn't do that, and then everyone got critical of him. There is such a massive leap that players, but specifically receivers, take in their second year. We've seen it so many times. This JSN situation, he had over 1,100 yards this year, and it's only going to be up from there. Marv is going to take, I think, even a bigger leap than that.
I think those expectations with Kyler having just recently come off that injury, I think we all had unrealistic expectations on the kid. And like I said, he had almost a carbon copy season of Fitz's first season. And we know how that career played out regardless of quarterback throwing to him. So I think Marv is going to be fantastic this year. And I love that his teammates are all in on him as well. That's what I'm excited about. That defense is concerning me, though. And we'll talk to Johnny about it here in the next segment. But do the defensive injuries concern you as well, Shane?
I mean, depth is going to be tested, but you can look at this as you can look at the silver lining in this, that now Will Johnson's going to have more, a way faster ramp up, and will that be good for him?
We'll find out.
Who knows? But he's going to be thrown to the fire as an outside corner. Walter Alone stuff doesn't really concern me. It doesn't sound like he's going to miss major time, any regular season time at all.
But you don't get that. You don't get that first training camp, and that concerns me, because you got to. If you don't get the training camp, then it takes 3 or 4 weeks to ramp up, and then
but he's the type of player that I feel like doesn't need a training camp because of the way he plays the game. See ball, get ball with Walter Nolan. I'm not too concerned about him. You never want to see injuries, and you never want to see season-ending injuries, obviously. But that corner room, while it didn't have much depth last year, it looks like there should be a lot more depth this year.
I think the depth is a great point, though, because it's pretty obvious that Monty Ossenfort looked and said, okay, this is the year we're going for the playoffs and a push, and we need to make sure that there's 2-3 guys in these positions that can step up, because last year that just wasn't the case. You were so thin that an injury could devastate it. I don't think you're in that spot, but if you continue to get those injuries, like with any team, it's going to be tough. I want to take a look at a couple of the headlines that came up from over the weekend. We'll pivot from Cardinals for a second and go right back to it with Johnny here shortly. But we saw Randal Grichuk got traded over the weekend from the Diamondbacks mid-game to the Royals. I hate the mid-game trade. I know people are like, oh, look, he's hugging in the dugout. I don't think you should be able to make a move while a game is going on, right? I think that is not fair to your team. I don't think that's fair to the player. I think it's just awkward all around. I wasn't a big fan of that. I know many people were. I do find it interesting the Diamondbacks have made 2 trades so far, Naylor and Grichuk, and they've gotten bullpen arms back. I wonder if they're fully selling or they're trying to patchwork this for the rest of the year. We're going to find out. We're going to find out shortly. Trade deadline is right around the corner. And then talking trades, John Hollinger had a report over the weekend that came out about the Phoenix Suns and a trade that they reportedly turned down during draft day, where New Orleans offered an unprotected 2026 first-round pick and the 23rd overall pick in this year's draft for number 10. He said, quote, discussions over whether Phoenix fumbled the bag by not taking the New Orleans offer will only heighten if Maluach can't give the Suns a quality big. Why does the national media continue to try to dunk on the Suns? Like, they've done everything that everybody wanted them to. They get a guy that everybody said was a steal at 10, and then this is the narrative that's coming out. Guess what? Most people wouldn't take that trade. They didn't get somebody to take that trade till number 13, so you can't tell me they went after 10 and only 13. My guess is they went after 10, 11, and 12, and everybody rejected them on that. You know why? Because you can't take a trade based solely on hope when you've got a guy that could be an impact player that you believe in there on the board right away. You take what's there and you don't go for the hopium, because who knows what New Orleans winds up doing this year. They could suck, they could not. Ping pong balls could not go their way. You don't make that kind of trade. It's just the way I believe. If you believe in a player, and they obviously believed in Khaman Maluach, and I think that he is the long-term answer. He's going to be a defensive stalwart, and he could change things for you there. On the other side of the break, Johnny Venerable joins me. We're talking more Cardinals and training camp. You're watching Southwest Bias. Oh, you thought I got a break? No, I don't get a break, because I'm here to talk to you about our friends at All Pro Shade Concepts. You know what got a break this weekend? My kitchen from the heat. The sweltering heat and the sun no longer get into my kitchen and make my house hotter than it needs to be, thanks to a All Pro Shade that we put on our sliding glass door. It's mechanical. I got a little button in the house. I can put it up. I can put it down. It is perfect for those of you that are too lazy to do it yourselves. I love it, and it has helped this summer keep my home cooler, and it made my backyard look even nicer, which I didn't think was possible. We've done a great job on our backyard. But if you want to get in on the action and get your backyard a little cooler in your home possibly as well, you got to do it now, because All Pro Shade Concepts is here for you. Head to allproshadeconcepts.com or call 623-204-1476 and get your free estimate, just like I did. And Phoenix Raceway. The cars are going to be flying around Phoenix Raceway coming up October 31st through November 2nd. It is unbelievable. It is championship weekend for NASCAR, and you're going to want to be there. I had never experienced a NASCAR event in person until last year. I was skeptical. Honestly, I said, it's cars driving around an oval. No. It is an unbelievable experience, and especially if you get those Desert Diamond Casino infield passes, because we had those last year. There's a concert beforehand. You get to walk around the garages. You get to be right there as the drivers go out to their car. It is an experience unlike any other in sports, and I highly recommend it. It is family friendly. You're going to want to be out there. So tickets, hospitality, and upgrades are still available, but act fast, because they're going quick, just like the cars. Get yours now at phoenixraceway.com. And I threatened you with a good time. I threatened you that friend of the program and the host of the PHNX Cardinals, Johnny Venerable, would be joining us, and he's here. Johnny, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. How are you, my guy? What a Phoenix Raceway read that was.
Look, Shane and I bring the heat when we do these reads. Like, just wait. There's sound effects for all sorts of ads. You can only imagine what's coming up. Johnny, I got to tell you a story. All right. I'm negotiating with an agent about getting some talent in the door for a show, your show. And I said, hey, she goes, who are the hosts? I go, Bo Brock, and Johnny Venerable. And she goes, Venerable? Really? I go, yeah, that's his name. And she goes, no way. I go, yeah, that's his actual name. Nobody believes that's your last name.
I appreciate that. I hope that helps them maybe seal the deal. We would love that talent.
I thought that was going a completely different way.
Said, if that's his name, I'm in.
I thought she was going to be like, Venerable, really? That guy?
That's also what I thought she was going to say, Shane.
All right, Johnny, last Friday on the show, I'm sure you saw J.J. Watt's comments about training camp and people putting out statistics and overhyping. I agree with him, but I need to give you the floor, because you're a guy that's out there. You're a guy that's on the mean Twitter streets, sending out updates from camp. What are your thoughts on it?
It's like if people didn't want that, then we wouldn't do it. But Cardinal fans want that information, right? Not everybody can get to the stadium. Now, I'm very blessed and fortunate to be credentialed part of the media and get to work at this fine company. And I'm going to tell you, who looks good. And guess what? The Cardinals look good. Kyler Murray looks good. Marvin Harrison Jr. looks good. I'm not going to apologize when they run 7-on-7 or 11-on-11 and Marvin Harrison Jr. has like 5 touchdowns. I thought that maybe was worth mentioning. You don't see anybody in New York apologizing for posting Cam Scatterbu highlights when he's breaking off 44-yard runs. People are eating that up. And I think it does translate to real football. I think if, I don't know, you were a certain team in Chicago and your quarterback was turning the ball over, right and left, that would be a cause for concern, like they're discussing. So is it everything? No. The pads go on this week, but just I think Watt was more comparable to like you're trying some new stuff out, and then if you're turning the ball over, if things don't look right, let's not kill a guy. But I'm here to give praise where it's warranted. The Cardinals look better than last year.
Johnny, I don't want to hear Marvin Harrison Jr. went 8 for 8 on catches with 160 yards in practice while wearing shorts.
Hear that?
I don't. If you tweet that, we're gonna have problems. Let's get into training camp. You were out there. Obviously, the big story was the injury this weekend. How concerned are you about the defensive backfield, and is this a roster that can sustain injuries, especially on that defensive side?
No more. Can't have any more. Starling Thomas was like homegrown. Well, he was claimed by Gannon and Austin Ford, like right when they got there in the offseason after rookies were signed. So he's basically been a homegrown product, started 22 games over the last 2 years. He wasn't going to start this year. He might have been listed as a starter. Like Will Johnson's going to start, but that doesn't mean he's a quality player. You would want him on your team. He is 25 years old. So I think, is it going to make a difference immediately? Probably not. But over 17 games, what if Will Johnson misses a month? God forbid. What if Max Melton or Garrett Williams goes down? They need depth for sure. I think they'll be okay. They've got some depth in-house. They've got a couple young players like Denzel Burke and Elijah Jones that need to step up. Jones in particular was a top 100 pick last year, has not looked good. And then, I think that if it was me, Espo, I would add a veteran before the start of the season. I would see, and we outlined it on yesterday's show, I would see what you have over the next 6 weeks. I'd play all the young guys in the preseason. If you're not happy with how the group looks, go and sign, I don't know, like a James Bradbury who played for Jonathan Gannon in 2022, had 3 interceptions on that Super Bowl team, has been a free agent for about a year. So there are options. And here's the good news is the secondary you can piece together when your front seven is as revamped as the Cardinals is. Where you have trouble is bad front seven and then a secondary that's lacking depth, and that's not the case here.
Well, you talk about the front seven, and obviously Walter Nolan Jr. is out. How concerned are you about how that sets him back in terms of not having a training camp, not having any preseason reps? Granted, he probably wasn't going to get a lot of them anyways, but that's a lot of practice time to miss going in to a season where that front seven is going to need so much production, especially with that secondary that's going to have not as much depth now.
Yeah, I think it's disappointing for him because I think he was going to look good right away, and I think people are going to be really excited. I don't think it means his rookie season is over, like people have suggested naively. This is very different than what happened to Darius Robinson last year. Darius got hurt right before the season. His mother passed away. He re-aggravated his hamstring. So yeah, it put a damper on his rookie season. By the way, he looks fantastic. Walter Nolan's going to be back. I think he's going to be back practicing before the start of the regular season. I think it would be a mistake to put him on IR just because. I think you want to carry maybe 7 defensive linemen. And if he has to miss the Saints and the Panther game, you ought to be able to win those games without him. But I heard recently he's doing really well. It's not as severe as people made it out to be. So, yeah, you want those reps. But the Cardinals defensive line, it's night and day. We say that every day on our show, but it bears repeating. Darius and Calais and Dalvin Tomlinson, Dante Stills looks really good. Justin Jones is back from injury. LJ Collier, they have enough guys, more than enough guys. So I think where you want Walter Nolan to contribute is the Cardinals turn the corner after Halloween. They stink historically in the later months of the season. And here's the 16th overall pick coming to the rescue and providing some pressure when you're playing the Rams, the Bengals, the Jaguars. That's when you need him. And I think he'll be there.
So I know we're both on the Marvin Harrison Jr. hype train. All right. I talked about it in my monologue about how much I'm bought in.
Yeah.
But what about the rest of the receivers? How is the rest of the room looking? The Zay Jones, the Michael Wilsons, the Weavers. How are they looking? And what do you think the production outside of Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be?
They look fine. They look good. They look capable. I don't think it's going to manifest into this team producing another like high-end pass catcher. I don't think that that's how they want to operate. I'm not saying it's what I would do, but like Trey McBride and Marvin Harrison Jr. are going to take up like 75% of the lion's share. And then, I feel for a guy like Michael Wilson, who I remember covering his first camp 2 years ago, and he was the guy. Trey hadn't emerged yet. They didn't have a number one wide receiver. Michael got a ton of looks, right? And Michael's very capable. Caught a really nice touchdown yesterday. But like this offense, they come out every practice and it's like 13 personnel, multiple tight ends. That's how they want to operate. So I am bullish on Michael Wilson. I think he's a 800-yard receiver in the right offense that spreads it around. I don't know if he'll reach that just based on who runs the offense. And then, a lot has been made about like what's going on with Greg Dortch. Like, why is Greg Dortch not being prioritized? He was in the backfield yesterday. They were doing some kind of trickeration with him. Like, I think kind of the writing's on the wall there that he's a depth guy. He's a return man. Zay Jones is like, if you just ask me, like, who's the number 3 receiver? Zay Jones is the number 3 receiver. Zay Jones got a couple touchdowns from Kyler Murray in 7-on-7 yesterday. I think he can mix and match where, like, if you want to put Marv, and they do, underneath in the slot, you can put Zay Jones on the outside with Michael Wilson. Like, and by the way, we know Drew Petzing has a stigma against smaller wide receivers. Well, Michael and Trey and Marv and all these Zay Jones, these guys are all over 6 foot. So I'm not going to say it's like irrelevant, but right now it feels like it is. And especially with those teams that they play early, Saints, Panthers, you got the Titans early, like they're going to run the football. That's what they want to do. And again, if it keeps Kyler Murray upright, I'm all for it. But when you play the contenders in the AFC and the NFC late in the year, it's reasonable to expect like, hey, we're down by 10. We need to be able to go to 10 personnel and spread this out. They could not do that last year.
Pads go on today. What should we be looking for this week, Johnny?
I think the physicality, as we mentioned on the defensive line, I think it's going to make the Cardinals offensive line uncomfortable. Like Josh Sweat looks like he's in fantastic shape. Like how can they hold up? How can Jonah Williams hold up at right tackle? And, and to me, like, can this offense with Marvin Harrison Jr. sustain what's been a tremendous camp when he's being pressed with pads from defensive backs? I think he will. I think he'll continue to cook. But to me, it's like knock on wood, health and then intensity, because I think this team is right there. I said it yesterday to kick off the show. This is much more talented than even last year, and they won 8 games. They have an easier schedule. Like, you do the math. You got to get through, though, the rest of this 6 weeks. Gannon alluded to it, Espo. It's like people talk about depth, and let's wait and see what the team looks like. God forbid we lose more players before the start of the regular season. But I'm fired up.
All right. The most important question for last. We all saw the Jonathan Gannon clip. We saw your quote tweet. Is it officially a bromance? I know we're not supposed to say that about a coach and a guy that covers him, but it feels like there's a little bit of romance between you two.
I think that Jonathan Gannon is a consummate pro, and the Cardinals are very lucky to have him. And I would say that even if I didn't know him personally, not personally, professionally, and he hasn't been on our show 3+ times. That being said, he's just a very human person to interact with. We got that feedback from our friends at PHLY in Philly. This is who he is. So by the way, we just got the clips of when he interacts with me like that. He interacts with a bunch of people in the press room like that, -1 Bo Brock. But I'll leave that there.
I think it just means that Jonathan Gannon has a good eye for talent. He is Johnny Venerable. You can follow him at Johnny Venerable, and you can watch him, of course, on PHNX Cardinals coming up at 4:30. Johnny, thank you so much.
See you, my guy.
That's our show. Live another week. We've got more coming up. This week we'll talk plenty of Cardinals, Arizona Diamondbacks trade deadline.
I will not.
No, you're going away. Mr. Vacation, Canada.
Bye, guys.
enjoy it. I'll have Noah or somebody behind the Mac, or I'll self-produce. Whatever is going to happen, we'll figure it out. And we'll figure it out together. Before you head out, hit that like button. Thank you. Subscribe. Appreciate it. Arizona Texan, AZ Bro, everybody in the chat, all the biased, we appreciate you. He is the mustache behind the Mac, Shane Diefenbach. You can follow him at Shane Dief. You can follow me at Espo. You can follow the show at PHNX_sports. And remember, just because your secondary isn't deep doesn't mean it can't get the job done. Ahoy, hoy!
We all silly like the mayor.